doing tonight. We're talking tonight about what it means to be those persons with everything that's going on. That we're going to be those persons that are going to not only get some sense of who and what we are, but we're going to get some sense of the things that we can most definitely find ourselves in a better sense. Because see, what is all the things that have been going on in the midst of everything that has been happening, the things that have been the most crucial has been things such as understanding cryptocurrency. Because everywhere you turn, people are saying, how do I invest in cryptocurrency and what do I do? And then what begins to happen is that everything that you are doing and all the things that you have done, it becomes one of those things where someone steps up and they'll say to you, oh, you don't need cryptocurrency. You don't need this and you don't need that. And then you're right back to the same place that you were in the beginning. But tonight, what we're going to do is that we're going to try to see, can we answer some questions, and then can we try to see these things in a great way. And so only thing that I'm going to do tonight is that I'm going to talk about blockchains. And when I talk about blockchains, I'm going to talk about them in a manner in which what you can do from there is that you can definitely, what you can do from there is that you can see these things from a mile ahead. Because one thing that is definitely sure, cryptocurrency isn't going anywhere. And so you could say, well, I'm not getting on the bandwagon. Could I try to give you some history with that? Well, number one, there was a time when the people like you and myself, they had the jobs, they had all of these things. And the first thing that had begun to happen, they were coming from this, what would you say? They were coming from this idea of we just been in a war, and being in a war, all of a sudden people were saying, I don't trust the government because Wall Street just crashed and I'm not going to trust it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to invest at all. So they came out with these things called saving bonds. And they start saying that you need to invest within your, they said you need to invest in your country. And then the first thing people started saying, could they trust the government? So a lot of them did not invest. And so when they did not invest, that was cool. Because see, by them not investing, they didn't really hurt themselves. Who they hurt more than anything, they hurt their children. They hurt their children's future. And by hurting their children's future, the thing that had begun to happen was now all of a sudden, what could have been a landfall. Because, well, with the savings bonds, you bought a bond for $2.50 and it was worth $25 when it matured. Well, just think now, if you bought 100 or 1,000 of those, then all of a sudden they became worth money. So now, can you think about that for a moment? Can you just think, what would have happened if all of a sudden you would have just taken this and you would have done some different stuff? What if you would have done, say for example, what if you would have done what many of us wanted to do? You would have done the thing that they wanted to be a part of this, of this new thing, savings bonds. No, but but our foreparents, since they didn't trust, first thing they said was no. And since they said no, all of a sudden, these persons that said no, they was left out in the cold. And when you're saying, how was they left out in the cold? Well, they were saying no, and they didn't invest. So now here you are in this season. This is your time to invest. You have to invest. Why? Because it isn't going to keep coming around. No one is going to keep saying to you that you need to do this or you need to do that. They're not going to do that. What is going to happen is that they're going to keep passing you by. And the more things pass you by, the more that you are hurting, not just you, but you're hurting your future. And that is the thing that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about some things that perhaps you would say, what is easier? Is it easier to is it easier to be someone that now is not just a figure? It isn't just something that you could say, this is how we're handling it. No, what is happening is this thing is so real that every time you look up, people are getting involved. For instance, Elon Musk, when he put all those billions of dollars into cryptocurrency, and then all of a sudden Goldman Sachs, all that money into cryptocurrency. And when you start looking at these things, these people are not putting it there because they are saying to you, they're trying to say to you, we don't know what we're doing. They're not saying that. What they're saying to you is that we know what we're doing. And we are hoping that you don't know what we are doing. Because see, if you don't know what they are doing, or if you don't know what is going on, the only thing that happens is that all of a sudden it passes you by. And when it passes you by, you are the one who's left out. And if you are left out, these are the things that become, I want to say, these are the things that become they're your nemesis. And when you start seeing this nemesis, then all of a sudden you start saying, woulda, coulda, shoulda, or how could I, or why didn't I? And the thing that begins to happen is that it is it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to wake up and all of a sudden you find out that the world has passed you by. Some people call it Rip Van Winkle effect, where there you are and you are thinking you should have done one thing. And then there you are and you find out that everything you tried to do, it has gone. So if we could do this, I want you to think about this for a moment. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about the cryptocurrency. I'm going to talk about blockchains tonight. And when I talk about blockchains tonight, I'm going to talk about it in such a way that you can see it, and talk about it in such a way that you can truly experience it. Because this is the number that I want you to write down tonight, like 1,000. And you say, why do I keep always coming to the 1,000? Because I'm not trying in no way push anyone away from the table. I'm not trying to say this is what you need in order to make this happen for you. What I'm trying to say to you, you need to understand the different types of cryptocurrency, because there's some cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin that did much better than Bitcoin did, and it's doing much better. For instance, when Bitcoin kind of dropped, you know, the first thing that happened, that people started not screaming, but what people started doing, they start asking, what do we do? And then there you are trying to imagine, how do you make it? Well, this is easy. And I want you to know that it's easy. I want you to understand that it's easy. I don't want you to think that now all of a sudden, the only way that you can make this work for you is that now you have to come up with $150,000, or you have to come up with a ton of money. You don't. And that's the part that makes investing in cryptocurrency so wonderful. All right, so if we can, let's try to see, can we make some sense out of some of the things that we've been doing. Let's say definition. So here is cryptocurrency. And all it is a digital or virtual currency, one that is secured, and it's secured by cryptography, which makes it impossible to counterfeit. And now you're going to say to me, now, Doc, anything can be counterfeited. This is America. Well, there's a man right now who has some cryptocurrency. And you know what happened? He put it in his computer. And the thing about it is that he can't find it. And because he can't find it, all of a sudden he's sitting here and he can't find the money. And since he can't find the money, he's doing all of these things, such as, number one, he says that if he goes in one more time and he doesn't have the right password, it is going to erase everything on the hard drive. Now, why is that important? Well, I'm glad you're asking, because see, when you're looking at these things and you're trying to see what makes cryptocurrency what it is and how to do it, that's where you come in. And now you are just trying to try to see all the things that makes cryptocurrency something that you most definitely should be a part of. Now, could I say it again with you? Now, number one, here is this money form that is basically, it isn't recession proof. Now we found that. Now that was one of the first of the erroneous things that was a part of it. It isn't recession proof, but what it is that cryptocurrencies, they're systems for secure payment online. And then what it does is that it uses this thing called tokens. Now, this is kind of embarrassing, and I hope none of you have done this. So every time you look up, sometime if you're in the middle of the night, somebody will come into your, what would you call it, your direct message. And the first thing the person will do is that person will come in and say to you, this is what you need to do. And that person will all of a sudden have you listening to them. And they will be doing things such as, number one, they will be doing things like, it's okay. And you're like, what's okay? Well, I'm here because you give me $300 and I'll give you back, such and such. And now if you do that, now this is not me, this is not my fault now. If you do that, that's embarrassing, because what you should do is turn that off. As soon as that person starts talking to you, now you've seen every hustle, you've noticed everything that has become that part. So now you're pushing that aside. So now let's see, can we understand cryptocurrency? Now, first of all, when you look at cryptocurrency, what you're trying to do, now it's a virtual currency, and it's secured by what they call cryptography. And so by its being secured in this way, it is decentralized based on blockchain technology. And then you got a distributed ledger, and that it's not them, but it's this artificial intelligence. And they are the ones who basically who basically are trying to make you see these things. And you say, wait, see what things? Oh, well, see, that's the part that is so scary. And what's frightening about it is that you're trying to see what would make it better. And what it is doing, it is trying to make you see the things that would make it not just better, but the things that will make it where you can have this enormous amount of technology, and this ledger that is that a group of computers hold the key. And then when you get there, you're saying, well, how do I know it's safe? Now, the question there becomes everything that you've been trying to do, all the things that you've been rendering, and everything that has been at your disposal. Now, all of a sudden, you have this very much, this thing that you're going to try and to make not just visible, but what you're going to try to do, you're going to try to say, this is how that we make these things react. And if you make them react in that way, then you're in better shape. You're in better shape than you've ever been, because now all of a sudden you have this virtual currency, and it's not issued by any central authority. And so it's theoretically, it's immune to the government. It cannot be interfered with, it cannot be manipulated. So now when we look at this thing, here we are. So cryptocurrency is this digital asset based on a network that is distributed across this large number of computers, decentralized. And then so the government cannot come in and say, this is what I want you to do, because the government cannot control this cryptocurrency. Now, the word cryptocurrency, now it comes from something that was so funny, because it comes from encryption techniques that secures the network. So it's not something that someone just all of a sudden just started screaming, crypto, but they were saying encryption. And many people who work on computers, when you do it, you do those things where there you are, and you all of a sudden you just, help me now, you just sit there and you have this text. And it used to be when you did a text, you use words like talk to you later. Then laughing or LOL. And I think Monk made everybody stop using that, because Monk used to come in and want to speak the way people did the text. He wanted to speak that way in language. And so now blockchains. Now what are they? Well, the blockchains, this is how you maintain integrity. It maintains integrity of the transaction. It's the component that many people, it is an essential component of many cryptocurrencies. For example, the person who comes on at night will say to you, well, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to get you to come over here to the blockchain. And then when you ask them the questions, and if you're a man, it's normal. Never going to see the $600. Or shall I turn it and flip it the other way? So you give $300, you can get $6,300. But if you give $2,500, you only get $8,300. So even the math is wrong. But if I was sitting somewhere in a country where $400 is the average income of everybody, and you crazy enough to send me, yes, I'm saying that, you crazy enough to send me $1,500, then that's the thing. So the blockchains and the related, that technology, that's what, when Goldman Sachs had its round table. Now, let me say this to you, not just throwing that name out, but Goldman Sachs handles $1.7 trillion. Because when you look at the mortgage crisis, and now we had a young president, he came in, didn't really understand the financial market. He was a lawyer, had not practiced law, and he was not really an investor. So these persons came said to him, what we are doing, we are selling mortgages. And what we are doing, we are not selling mortgage, but we are taking a group of mortgages and we're putting them together. He said, where's the real estate? No. We only selling the mortgage. So then all of a sudden, we had what you call the mortgage crisis, because the mortgages were worth more than the properties, but they had been sold 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And after this selling of the mortgages, and you look there, now this is the Sesame Street version of that. And while I'm saying that is that, you're sitting there because it was much larger than that. Companies, banks went under, people went under. But when the banks were going under, they came back down to Washington, D.C., and they would say, who do you save? Do you save the homeowner, or do you save the bank? Well, the bank said, well, we're going to have so many jobs, and if we go under, the nation could go into a depression. And so the money was given to the banks. So the bank sat there, instead of doing the money, the bank bought more. And then they sent a couple of people to prison who they claim duped them. Goldman Sachs. Oh my God, Goldman Sachs made billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Corzine was a part of Goldman Sachs, and New Jersey still elected him, thinking that he was going to help us. I was in New Jersey, they're going to help us come up. No, he didn't. He almost bankrupt New Jersey, because the same principle that he was using in an effort to claim that he could salvage by buying debt or selling debt. That's one of the most risky things you could ever do. So then up comes this thing called cryptocurrency. But the only persons who could understand it were engineers. The only persons who could understand it, computer programmers. They didn't have any money. No, they didn't have any money. So they had great degrees, they didn't have any money. Then all of a sudden, they started explaining to people what these blockchains, what they mean. Then all of a sudden, they came into the finance market. Then the lawyers wrote law to protect them. But now one guy from the Silk Road, he's in prison with triple life because he was allowing on the dark web, people were using cryptocurrency for anonymity and for the idea they could be multi-millionaires and no one would even know their names. They were buying things they should not have bought. So I'm not trying to advertise. So when you look at this, the law came into being because the crypto people were making so much money that they could buy the best lawyers. So now here's crypto. It faces some criticism, number one, because of legal activities, because the exchange rate is very volatile. So now, and it's very vulnerable. Because of all of this, people still praise it. They praise it because I could have one thumb drive and I could have $100 million on it. And I don't have to walk into any bank. I don't have to do anything. I do not have that. If I did, I would take all of us to a place where COVID does not exist. And so it can be divided. It's not subject to inflation. It's resistant and it's transparent. So see, here's cryptocurrency. I got the secure online payment. And I use this thing called tokens. Now, crypto does not mean that it's stealth mode. No, crypto means that the encryption algorithms, all of these things can safeguard. So you're saying to me that this is better than my hearing somebody on the internet telling me they can take $300 or $50,000 and turn around and make me $500,000. Yes. Yes. And I know you were very frightened in October when I came and I said to you, if you have some money lying around, come into the cryptocurrency. And then a few months ago, well, not really a few months ago, a few weeks ago, I came back and I said to you that it can't hold at 58. It can't hold at 56. So maybe what you should do is take it and then give me a call. But that's too much like right, because, you'll say, oh, you're the pastor, you're the preacher. Don't want to give you a call. And I'm saying, please call. Because what will happen, I can tell you, like I could have told you what to do in an effort to be able to buy at what we call the dip. So when it dropped back down to 40,000, some people stood and lost, $18,000 for every Bitcoin they had. Well, that's a lot of money because if you had 10, that's 180. If you had 100, 1.8. So those are the things that we do with the things that we have. Those are the things that you have to do with what you have. You have to be in a situation to where you can see crypto. Now, the first blockchain that any of us we ever saw was what we call Bitcoin. That's the most popular, the most valuable. There are thousands of other alternative currencies, cryptocurrencies. I'm going to keep using that word. And then some of these are clones. We call them forks in the crypto world, because the reason we call them forks is that while they are new currencies, they were not built from scratch. But there are the ones we are talking about that are built from scratch. Let me hurry. So Bitcoin came in 2009, and it actually was just like you just saw with GameStop. The people at Reddit said we are stiffing it to Wall Street. 2009, cryptocurrency was the answer to the banks because the banks were losing money and you couldn't get your money. They was closing the doors almost to the point of you sitting there saying, well, whose money is this? And when Congress didn't have laws enacted to stop this, then all of a sudden, where do you go? So then Satoshi Nakamoto, we don't know if that's an individual or a group. So that could be a group of people, but the pseudonym is Satoshi Nakamoto. Oh man, no, not going to tell you about my favorite movie, but Unusual Suspects. That's a great movie. If you ever want to rent a great movie, that's a great movie. So in November 2019, there was 18 million Bitcoins in circulation. With a market value of around $146 billion. I'm not even going to tell you what Bitcoin's in the trillions now. And they are claiming that Bitcoin is going to go up somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 per Bitcoin. But he had sons. He had sons born. He had 13 children. And here he is. The government is saying, take all of your money and put it in bonds. Well, people who did that really did very well because they were what you call the pioneers. That's what you have the chance to be, is a pioneer. And then so the cryptocurrency, because of the success of Bitcoin, now you got these things called alternate coins, altcoins, Litecoin, Peercoin, Namecoin. Now the one that I want you to really pay attention to is Ethereum. Because when we talked about Ethereum last year, in July, August, it's $100. Oh no, you can't touch Ethereum like that now. Now Ethereum is close to $2,000. And that is what we are going to suggest to you. Instead of trying to buy a $58,000 Bitcoin, you could take the same money that you were going to invest, and you can invest it into Dogecoin, Litecoin, Peercoin. You can look at all of this because Bitcoin represents about 70% of the value of all coins. But then the crypto, using the cryptocurrency, it was developed for military applications. So the government wanted to put control of, like all the restrictions on weapons, and then that group of Satoshi, they stopped that. So now let's do this again. So this is Bitcoin. Now what makes Bitcoin appealing? The blockchain technology, because you got this online ledger of all transactions that had ever been conducted. And so there's not one person sitting there. This is the blockchain. So when somebody walks out and claims, I have 5,000, I'm trying to sell 5,000 Bitcoin, they'll look on the blockchain and see when did you purchase them. It keeps everybody honest. So look at that ledger. It's for every individual. It's a computer or it's a person that's keeping the ledger. So every new block generated, it has to be verified. Then it has to be confirmed. You can't forge transaction histories. You can't come in and say, well, I bought this, and no. And I was at a conference, online, mind you, and they had in the background the Amistad. Like when I'm home in Newport, I used to go up to the gas station. I walk up there, and I used to see the plaque where the original gentleman stood, because it was like a jail. And he stood there and he raised his hand and he said, "Give me freedom." And so at this conference in the back, they had this man. And I remember the story based on the Bible, because they learned they were valuable based on the fact they shared the fate with this man, just like them. They did it with pictures in the movies. Tremendous effect for people like me. So that's what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin tells you your money is secure. The only thing is its volatility. The volatility of Bitcoin is that nobody can stand there and tell you those things. Oh my God, I got 7 minutes. So here we are. So there's no private key. Nobody, there's nobody backed it up. There's no central authority, no government, no corporation that can access to your funds or your personal information. So the cryptocurrency, it's making it easier to transfer money between two people without the need of a trusted third party, like a bank or credit card company. These transfers are secured by the use of public and private keys and different forms of incentive systems. One, proof of works and proof of stake. So cryptocurrency, I get a wallet or an account address. I have a public key. And while the private key is known only to me, the owner, and it's used to sign transactions, but the transfer is completed with minimal processing fees, like Coinbase, Webull. Many of them will allow you to trade these things. So you avoid those steep fees by the banks and financial institution for wire transfers. Yeah, they're now trying to charge percentage of the wire. So you send $500,000 and somebody's telling you they want $5,000 and send $500,000. You look at them, you're crazy. This is my money. You just send this stuff and you charge me the fee that you used to, $25. Well, if you're a Chase, they don't charge you anything. When you're at that, they don't charge you anything. So that's the thing. So here you are, the anonymous nature of cryptocurrency. That's what makes it great. So you're saying, well, why the bull market? Because what people are doing in this age of COVID, you've been invaded in your home, you've been invaded politically, you've been invaded in all of these things. So cryptocurrency similarly gives you still anonymity. It gives you transparency, but it also gives you a shield. Okay, so let me see. So look at these cryptocurrencies. Some are more private than others. Bitcoin, you don't do illegal transactions with Bitcoin. No, don't buy your stuff with it. No, because it can be traced back. Because Bitcoin, it helps the authority. So that's why you want Bitcoin to sit and give to your children, because there is a record. Just like those bonds that my grandfather, he bought some, but could have bought many, many more. And so that's the way you're on your way to putting real money in your family. And I see all the time, people talk about generational wealth, and any way you could put the money in the family is fine, but some of it is just scary. because $1,000 is not going to hurt you, but also it is not generational wealth. So what you're trying to do is, real estate, house, or condo, something of that nature, cryptocurrency, a lot of it. And so now there you are. It fluctuates widely, but Bitcoin has experienced some surges. Now, I want to tell you this. In 2017, Bitcoin got up to 19,000, and a friend of mine, he bought a car. And he bought the car from Manhattan Motors. And they on the cutting edge, so they advertised that he could buy the car with Bitcoin. So he bought the car. Bitcoin was trading $19,000. So he bought the car, and yes, it was a very nice car, very nice Lambo. And he bought it, and then the monies dropped to like 7,000. They went to court because he already had taken the car. The company wanted him to come back and pay 12,000 per, like he bought it with maybe like 30 or 40 Bitcoins. Yes, I think he paid like $450,000, $500,000 for a car. And he paid for it with Bitcoin. But when the Bitcoin dropped down to 7,000, the owner was not as happy because he had just lost a lot of money. And that's the only thing. And people, like I used to be a member of this